So we're just gonna start with a few questions to just kind of ease you into it. Okay, so we're going with a what do I start with? I'm gonna start with this or that.
Okay.
So you have to choose which one you want.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So would you prefer tea or coffee?
C.
Um, fiction or non-fiction? Fiction, fiction, fiction,
Fiction.
fiction,
Fiction.
fiction. Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Dogs. Dogs.
Um, for dessert, would you prefer a cake or a pie?
Cake. Cake. I love cake.
Okay. Phone calls or texts?
Text. I'm a texter.
Um, texter. Yeah, same here. Um, sandwich or toast?
Toast.
Um, sweet popcorn or salt popcorn?
Sweet. All day.
Sweet.
Sweet.
All day. Okay. Last one.
Mhm.
Last one. Would you go for a cold shower or a warm bath?
Warm bath.
Okay. Cool. So we're gonna play this again later on.
Okay, cool.
So this is just to give the audience a feel of who you are and kind of your taste in sleeping. Okay.
Okay.
So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm well. I'm fine.
Yeah. Lots of writing, lots of planning, or just in a
Um, I mean,
resting.
writing isn't like my full-time job. I'm
Hmm.
actually a publisher. That's like my 9 to 5.
Okay.
So I actually haven't written since my last book.
Which was a
So which was the Confession of the African Christian. That was my last book that I wrote. Yes, this yes, that one.
okay. Wow. Yeah. And I hear it's on, I actually saw on your profile on Instagram that it's on Amazon now. So
Yes, it is. The ebook is on Amazon now.
okay, so we all know where to get it. I'm already advertising, guys. Get your book. It's really good. And it's not too long for those of you who don't like reading.
Yes, it's quite short actually.
Yeah. I prefer shorter books because my attention span is very questionable. But yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start from you.
Hmm.
What inspires you in general in life? What inspires you?
My mom. My mom inspires me. Like insightful conversations, like things that get you to think and ponder inspire me. People's experiences inspire me. So if somebody has been through something crazy in quotes and they're able to get through it, it's like I'm inspired. And my family, not like my blood relations only, but the people that I call my sisters. Sharon, shout out to you. My best friends, like all the people in my circle inspire me. So people, experiences, conversations inspire me.
Mm. Okay, so I'm gonna put in the deep end now. What is quote or inspirational words? What would you not
So
forget? If
okay,
yeah.
so I watched like a random video on Instagram where somebody said something that goes like, procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God will give you a chance tomorrow what he told you to do today. And it kind of struck me that you kind of how do I put it, we can relax a bit. God says do something, you say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it in a year, I won't do it at all. But
Mm.
he's gracious, so you might have the time to do what you have to do, but the time isn't always promised. So that quote just kind of reminds me that if I'm given an instruction or I feel I have to do something, I have to really try to do it today and not think I'll
Mm.
have the time tomorrow. Yes, that's my one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah. We all need to keep that in mind. I think procrastination is something that most people deal with. So yeah, we all need to work on our procrastination and just get better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Going back to your writing, When did you start? When did you discover that you loved writing?
I think in secondary school. I always loved reading, but writing, like I didn't really try writing till much later. So I think in our literature class we had to write, stories or essays, and I was like, oh, actually, I actually do like to do this. And then in uni, I took a fiction writing class and a poetry writing class that I loved. So from that time on, I began to like write more regularly.
Mm. So, what did you actually study at uni? You took a module based on writing, but what was the course that you studied?
Okay, so undergrad was in English, and my second degree was in publishing.
Okay, so what as you were growing up, what was your aim? Like, what different stages did you go through, and what did you say you wanted to do at this stage, or did you always know that you wanted to do something related to English or
No,
um
no, no,
education?
no, 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 no,
Mm,
no. I wanted
yeah,
to be a doctor at some point, a psychiatrist, a housewife. Um, I think at some point I wanted to be like an air hostess. My mom used to be an air hostess. I think it was those four that I played around with for a while until I came to choose to become a publisher and a writer.
wow. You mentioned doctor, a housewife. I don't know of anyone in the world who thinks of a housewife as a career.
It's work. It's a lot of work.
That means you have so many kids that you have a full-time job of how many kids do you want to have?
Actually,
You
I only want three.
only wanted
That's
three.
Yeah, I
Or you
want three. Three is not bad. It's a
yeah,
good
three.
number. It's not
Yeah.
bad.
Hey, housewife. Wow. It is well.
It is. It is.
Wow. Okay. So how long have you been writing for?
Maybe
Secondary
yeah.
what age
Secondary
was
school was like 2004, five.
so
So
that was
that's like about
50.
14, 15 years. Oh wow! I didn't.
Mm.
I didn't. I didn't. I've never. Wow, that's a long time. Hey.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but you already you're on your career path or
True.
your dream or your how do I say it? Your passion type of
Yeah.
passions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to start young as well.
It is. It is. But I think that I think that whenever you figure it out, you have. I mean, just do it, because for some people it takes a very very long time to figure out what they want to do. Other people is
Mm.
very quick. But I think when you figure it out, then you just continue. That's how I
Mm.
feel.
Sound wise, thank you. So what other forms of creativity do you indulge in apart from writing? Art, graphic design?
No, I like to relax. I can't even lie to you. I am a relaxer. I, in the sense that I feel like, I don't know how to put it. I'm looking for a hobby currently. I'm thinking of maybe going into pottery, but I have a feeling that might not work out too well. But we'll see how it goes. But I feel like I don't. I'm not somebody that can handle too much at once.
Mm.
So if I like something, I do it, but I do like my downtime. So writing is enough for me for now. I think also watching shows can be creative because you can
Maybe if
try
you
and
have a view
imagine.
of what you want to be creative, but just watching it, then we are all creative then.
Yeah, so basically I don't I mean I'm not I can't do graphic design. I can't really draw. I thought I could sing, but my family has informed me that I am not a good singer. though I am resisting that assertion. I still think I can sing. But I feel
Yes,
like writing is where maybe I release a lot of my creativity.
Hmm. Okay, so you mentioned that you do a bit of poetry. At some actually, I'm not on the spot. I'm
Hey,
guessing that you started writing like books. You haven't touched the other, the spoken word, the poetry side. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you think you can still do it?
hmm? What?
Do you
What?
think? I'm trying to see if there's any part in this book where it sounds quite poetic. Hmm. Think about it. I'm sure you still got it.
So you
Writing is
want me
right.
to? So I should create a poem on the spot.
At some point. Right now,
Okay,
don't
okay,
worry.
okay. At some point. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, 10 minutes. That'll be one of your challenges.
Okay,
So,
okay, cool.
so your creative things and people. What do people say? Um, Someone says, okay, let's go for this one. Miss Mills says she gives fans. And someone, Asantua, Nanaya says she's a side DJ. A side DJ. Okay, is that true?
Wow, fam. Aspiring, aspiring, aspiring DJ.
Raphael says he's looking for a hobby and he's put a funny emoji. Someone says horse riding.
Hey,
Is that
hey.
true?
I have never been on a horse before, as far back as I remember. That is a lie. Who said that?
That's Dede Buckman.
JJ.
I think she has on a horse, so she's about to tell you. It's not yet. She hasn't had the
Oh,
courage to
okay.
say
That
it.
won't be bad.
And Nanaya says again, a hype babe. Okay.
Hey.
And the day again says athletics. Hmm. Mm.
I'm not an outdoor, like I'm not sporty at all. At
People.
all.
Do you really know?
Hey,
Do you know your?
JJ.
They have good dreams for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, lots of good dreams.
But you were looking for a hobby, so you never know. Horse riding.
Okay, okay. The horse
Yeah, and they
for
pay for it
me,
for you.
it might be a bit problematic, but we'll see. I'll try one day.
Yeah.
Not soon, not soon, but one day.
One day, one day.
One day, one day.
After you have your 3 kids and you have some downtime.
Mm, just get a horse. It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Okay. Right. So let's go back here. So let's go back to your writing.
Okay.
What was the first thing that you remember writing, if you remember?
Let me see. The first thing I remember writing, as in like fiction or poetry or just anything.
Anything that, wow, this is actually, I like this.
Yeah. I think the last thing, I mean, the thing that comes to mind, but that wasn't too far ago, would be my undergrad thesis. That's the last thing that I mean the most further back thing that I can remember. And I had to, and it was in poetry. So I think I picked a topic that's focused on like family relations and how your family really kind of speaks a lot about who you are. I mean, I did quite well in that thesis, so I think it was good. My professor loved it, so yeah, that's the last. The earliest thing I can remember writing now.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay, so in terms of stories, is this the first book you've written?
No, this is actually the sixth book I've written. Yes, I have 5 children's books that came out. I mean, between I think 2015 till 2020. So I write children's books, and then I'm now trying to see if I want to continue doing the adult books. Because adult books are very difficult to write. They
Mm.
are, yeah, it takes a lot of thinking, a lot of trying to communicate the ideas that you want to put on paper, but you are writing to a more diverse and a more intelligent, in quotes, a more mature audience. So you have to be a little bit more careful. Like you can't be, how do I put it? It takes a lot more work, I feel like, to write. I mean, for me personally, to write for adults than I write for children. Because children is fun, it's easy, it's
Mm.
it's colorful. But for
Yeah.
adults, it's a bit more. I think it demands a bit more for me as a writer.
Mm. Okay, so when you wrote your very first book, maybe a children's book, like you wrote the draft, who did you show it to? Do you remember who you showed it to? Like, can you just read what I've written and give me some feedback? Do you remember who you showed it to?
I don't think I showed it to anybody actually. Thinking about it now, I wrote it, did editing myself, and published it. I don't think I gave it to anyone to read.
Oh,
I actually don't remember giving the first one to anybody to read. It was the adult one that I gave to a number of people, but the kids' books I actually did not give them to anybody. Why
so
did
all
I
the
do
kids,
that? Pardon?
all the kids, you haven't shown it to anyone.
Yes. Yeah,
All
I
the
think
five.
I just sat down, wrote the books. Maybe I give it to somebody to edit them for me, but like I don't give it to anybody to. Oh wait! I give it to. Okay, so the kids' books are published by the company I work for,
Yeah.
and the adult book I self-published. So the kids' book, the people in my department would read it and give me, like, feedback. But it's not like I would go to like my sister or my cousin. I've written this story, read it for me. But with the adult book, I gave it to about 4 or 5 people, like friends, family, to read it, give me their thoughts, and give me their feedback. And let me just say here that some feedback can can make you feel like, have I written something good or bad? But if you want to write, you need to have other people just kind of tell you if your ideas are working, if they are not. So yeah, I don't know. So I mean, the kids' books, the people in my department had to go through it because we work together. But the adult book, I actually chose to give it to about 4 or 5 people to just read and give me their thoughts.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the four that you chose, why
Mhm.
did you choose them? Is it because they're intellectually good, or they know you a bit more, or you just thought you could trust their judgment? What was the criteria for selecting those?
I think I felt like I could trust their judgments. I felt
Mm.
like they would be able to kind of tell me if something was working, wasn't working, if, I was clear in what I was saying, if they thought it was a good idea to write a book like this. So I trusted that they would tell me the truth. So I think, yeah, that's why I picked them.
Okay, so we'll come back to the kids' book later. But
Okay.
just to, some people have just joined, so I just want to announce as well. So guys, we're halfway through our interview. So if you've just joined us, don't forget that we also give you the chance to also ask your questions. So get your questions ready for Nanama. I'm going to be asking her about questions for the next 15 minutes, and then it's your turn to ask questions. So get your questions ready. Yeah. Okay. So can we talk about the personal obstacles that you had to go through to put books? Uh, what challenges did you in terms of personally and also maybe the industry as well, the book industry?
I think the first obstacle I had to face was self-doubt. So it was just very difficult for me to, at times, continue writing or feel like I was capable of writing a book like what I wrote. because
Yeah.
I'm a pretty private person. I don't really share a lot of the things I go through with other people. So to write a book sharing like some of the things I struggled with, and for it to and for me not to be able to control where it was going to go because a book can go anywhere, was very, very, very difficult for me to do. So the first obstacle was just like self-doubt and like maybe feeling like I wasn't capable of writing the book, or feel like I wasn't worthy in quotes of writing the book. That was the first one. The second obstacle, I think, was just getting it done. So I finished writing. It took me a while to finish writing it in the first place. And then I had to get someone to design it. I had to get someone to edit it. I had to plan the book launch. And there are just so many obstacles that come with maybe people delaying with stuff they have to do, or like, so when the book was being printed, this is I think the craziest thing. It was the printer used the wrong paper the first time. So I get all the copies, I open the book, and I'm like, what paper is this? And I was in shock. So they had to reprint it with the paper I had picked. But then you have, so now, I had extra copies, but it's like the moment when I opened the book and it was the wrong paper, I was like, God, like, what's going on? I think it was about 2 or 3 days to the launch. So I was panicking. I was panicking. But God being so good, they did a reprint. It came out very well, and then I could breathe a sigh of relief. But I think the internal obstacles, when I overcame them, everything else was a little bit more easier. So I feel like when you're able to overcome what is in you, everything outside can kind of just you can manage the stuff outside if you can figure out how to do with what you're dealing with internally. Yeah.
So this is based on industrial obstacles, because obviously,
Hmm.
you publish a book in Ghana. I know
Yeah.
you've lived outside for a bit. Um,
Hmm.
is there any point where you felt like, oh, I should have done this in America or some other country because you were not so sure about how it would work in Ghana, or because you had the job in the publishing company, you were okay?
I think the thing is, when I was even in uni in America, I knew I didn't want to live there. I went to do my second degree in the UK. I knew I didn't want to live there. I've always wanted to live back home. So for me, it's like I've come back home. I'll just make it work because it's
Yeah.
home. I mean, like, I don't have anything against anybody living outside, but I think for me, Ghana is where I'm meant to be. So it wasn't a thing of, I think I just kind of felt like I think I should be here, so I will make it work, and God will help me to make it work. So that I've never really felt like I should be living anywhere else. This is home for me,
Yeah.
at least as far as I can see. I'll be here for quite a while.
Okay. So being a Ghanaian, and obviously being a writer, um, how is it like being a writer in Ghana? How do you get your stuff out there? How do you
Mm.
promote? How do you market? How's the whole process? Is it difficult? Is it easy?
Um, it's difficult to an extent. I think even if you're self-publishing or you're going the traditional route, you have to be very aware that there are not that many like distribution outlets for books. There are bookshops, there's the online routes, but like even to get your book on Amazon, if you have like a Ghanaian passport, that means you don't have like an American social security number, or and you need that to fill the form to get your book on Amazon. So there are quite a number of obstacles that you face just maybe reaching the global market. And with the
Mm,
local markets as well, you are going to have to do a lot of marketing to get your book to be bought, to be honest with you. You're going to have to do a lot of like direct face-to-face marketing, or you have to do a lot of hype, maybe a lot of Instagram ads, a lot of, maybe, I don't know, some people even do, I think, like radio and TV.
mm,
but it's I feel like it's difficult, but it's not impossible. There
Yeah.
are people who are making a good living from being writers. So some of them just do maybe like workshops, or hosting, like maybe how do I put it, how like teaching people how to write and stuff like that. But just being if you want to be a full-time writer in Ghana, I would advise you to really sit down and plan how you are going to survive, because the money will not come immediately. It might take quite a bit of time for you to make money to live on, if you want to take that like full-time route. So I would advise that you do it part-time until you understand how the market works, and then you can see, okay, maybe if I take a risk and stop my full-time job and go into full-time writing, it would be a good decision for me.
But that would mean you have to bring out lots. You have to keep bringing the books out to be a full-time writer,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
To stay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
Mm-hmm.
marketing and hype and all of that. Which of those did you take to market your products?
Okay, so
Yeah.
with my book, it's been a lot of like word of mouth. So somebody reads the book, they love it, they order it, they buy it. So that's actually how I have been able to like sell copies. It's in a couple of bookshops, it's now on Amazon. So it's, I think also too as well, I need to do more promotion on myself. I think also another thing I want to just say is that if you go the self-publishing route, you have to do the marketing yourself, or you have to
Mm.
hire someone to do it for you. And I haven't hired anybody, so everything is on me. And if you have a 9 to 5, you have other responsibilities that you have to like focus on. So I feel like I need to do more work to market and like promote my books, because I took the self-publishing route for this one.
Okay. So I don't know if we should start with the kids' books first of all. Which one do you prefer? Should we start with talking about this one or the kids' books?
Let's talk about this one, the one you have.
Hmm. Let's just start. Mhm. Okay. Okay. I'll read a paragraph.
Okay.
I don't like reading in public, but I'll try. I'm
Okay.
speaking in public. Okay. In the course of writing Confessions of an African Christian, I have laughed, panicked, sometimes guessed myself, felt deeply, severely, and intensely unqualified, worried about what people would think, chosen to play games on my phone when I knew I should be writing, read through drafts and felt fluctuating feelings of pride, apathy, and disgust. It has been a journey. Okay, so I've read this book, so I know what it is about. But for those people who don't know
Uh-huh.
what it's about, can you tell them what this book, Confessions of an African Christian, is about?
Okay. So it is a 10-chapter book on covering various aspects of my walk as a believer in Christ. So it talks mainly about my struggles and how I dealt with them, or how I am still trying to deal with them. And it highlights quite a number of my experiences. And I think I think it's a good book. I think it's a good
It
book.
is.
I think I go, yeah, like I go, I go back to read things I was, I'm like, now my, like, you did not write this. This cannot be you that wrote this. So I also see that if I that wrote it, I'm still going back and I'm still like getting advice from the book I wrote. I think it's a pretty good book.
Okay. So you talked about self-doubt, and if you were saying that in the, I mean, you read this book and you say, is this really me who read it?
Yeah.
Do you think you're struggling with some aspects of self-doubt? Because I mean,
Oh yes,
do you,
yes,
but
yeah.
I guess much less now than before, when before you
Oh yeah,
started
no,
writing.
I think it's much less, because like when I was done writing and the book was published, I was like, oh, okay, it's actually I did this. So I can always
Mm.
look back and see that yes, though I was struggling with so many things, I was still able to like go through and do what I had to do. So the self-doubt is much less than it was maybe 3 years ago.
Mm. And who was your hype person during
Oh
this?
my
this
God. I had quite a number of people.
Mm.
There was my cousin Ohinewa, there was my sister Kukwa, my sister Dede, my sister Mamia, my sister my brother Kofi, my friends, my auntie Bianca. I think she's in the comments. My friend Sharon. I mean, there were like 10, 10 people
Wow.
who were like, because I think what I did was I told them I had to write the book so that they would keep me accountable. Because I felt like if I didn't tell them, I would just keep it to myself and not write it. But because I told them, they'll come, okay, Anama, the book, like, how's it going? And maybe I haven't written for like a month. So then I feel like, yeah, it's not really going. So then I go back to writing. So I got people to keep me accountable, and they were also like my hype men.
Okay. Right. So the children's book, it's called The Adventures of Naughty Coffee.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to write about a naughty boy
hmm
as opposed to
So
maybe a good coffee?
so like the ideas for the children's books, honestly. Okay, so I was working where I'm working now, and I was looking for content. Like I wanted to find like children's books to read that I could also publish. And so I've been praying that God, like, I really need you to give me some ideas for a children's book. I prayed, I let it go, and then like one morning I woke up randomly around 4 o'clock, and the idea just dropped in my head. So the title dropped, the first two book ideas dropped, and I just wrote them.
Mm.
So it wasn't even a thing of like the idea came from me. I prayed, and at some point in time, God answered, and I wrote the book. The books, sorry. Yeah.
So do you have any plans to you're going to be writing more children's books, but do you have any plans to maybe do you have coffee and obviously he's a boy. Are you going to
Yeah.
do something girls can relate to? And if
Yeah. Mhm.
please use my name. That's fine. That's fine. Joking. Whatever God gives you.
Yes, I've been thinking like I really do want to do like a book for girls, but I'm just not sure what angle to take or which age group to focus on. So I'm
Mm.
still trying to figure that out.
Okay, so back to your book. Is it based on something that happens, or is it totally something that you make up, stories you make up in your head, or is it something that you see this boy being naughty and you're like, I'm gonna put that in my book?
No, it's actually stuff I made up in my head.
Okay,
Yeah, it's actually stuff I made up in my head.
okay, fantastic. Okay, so it's 45 now. So we are going to, I guess, okay, I have one more question, but
Okay.
do my question and then we'll do the activity, and then the guys will ask you questions.
Okay.
Okay, last question. No, last but one actually. Where do you
Okay.
see in, say, 5 years' time, within the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I see myself thriving. I see myself closer to God. I see myself more confident in the gifts that God has given me. I see myself taking more risks for my faith, in the sense that if I feel that, okay, now my God wants me to do this, I will take the risk of doing what God wants me to do, even if it feels uncomfortable. I see myself married. I see myself hopefully with maybe one or two children. I think I see myself content. I see myself content in the next 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. So in the future, are you considering being a full-time housewife as you wanted to be? Or you're gonna be a
Um,
writer?
I think the full-time housewife was a phase. I don't think I would be able to do it anytime soon. Maybe I don't know. Maybe at some point in time I might feel like, okay, I actually want to do this, and I would do it. But um, I think I might think of becoming a full-time writer at some point. But I think it won't be now because I love my job, so I don't think I would be leaving my job anytime soon. But I feel like how do I put it? I think that when you work with God, things change.
Mm.
So if you're doing something now, put in your all, finish it, do it well, but also be ready to move when He asks you to move. So for all you know, I could be in China in 3 years, or I could be trying to get an MBA next year. So I feel like I think I'm just more open to what God would ask me to do. I'll plan and I will prepare, but I will just leave room for God's direction to also just lead me to do what I have to do.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, my last question. So
Okay.
what advice would you give to young people on pursuing their dreams and aspirations?
Just do it. And allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to feel all the things that will come, negative and positive. You're a human being, so there has to be balance. But just focus. When you need someone to talk to them. Don't act like you know everything or you can carry everything. Learn to share your issues with people. Some people can help you, but I think that like just do it. I mean,
Just
yeah, just do it because that's the bottom line. You just have to act. So just do it. Do it scared. Do it sad. Do it happy. But just do it.
oh wow, that's a deep one. That's a deep one. Wow. Okay, thank you. I have more questions, but we'll leave that. The audience will, yeah, the
Okay,
audience. Okay, so part two of our fun activity. Are you ready?
I'm
I haven't
ready.
forgotten the poem actually. I haven't forgotten about it.
Okay,
Unless time, overtakes us, but I haven't forgotten.
okay.
So what is your favorite color?
White.
White. If you were no, when is your birthday?
18th June.
Okay. Dream holiday destination.
My dream.
Dream
What's the
holiday
question?
destination.
Seychelles.
Oh, I love that place as well. Yes. Same page. Um, during the lockdown. I don't know if that applies in Ghana. You only had 2 weeks. But anyway.
I didn't hear the question. What's the question?
Newfound hobby during the lockdown.
Netflix. Netflix. Netflix.
Okay.
That was my hobby.
Um, Give us two bad habits of yours.
Oh my god. Um, I procrastinate a lot. Is that a habit?
Yeah.
And I procrastinate a lot. What's my other bad habits? I think just I procrastinate. Like I can't think of another one. I'm
Maybe
clean.
the.
I'm not messy. I don't know.
Do you think?
Procrastination.
Do you think you watch too much Netflix? Maybe.
Yes. Okay. That would be a bad habit. I do. I do. I do.
Okay. On the other side, good habits.
Um. Though I procrastinate, I actually can keep a very good schedule. I don't know. It's very weird. I don't know how I do that. I'm like I'm always on time. It's weird. How can I be a procrastinator? Yeah, I'm always on time. It's very strange. I'm always on time. The comments are making me laugh.
I know.
um,
Someone says,
I'm also somebody that can check up on people a lot. Like if you're my friend or a family member, I'm the person that is like, "How are you? What's going on? Are you okay?" Someone said I'm too punctual. What is going on in the comment section? I'm also very helpful. It's a good habit. I'm a helpful, encouraging checker up of people, if that's a word.
Okay. All right. Hmm. Uh, okay. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
A jaguar.
Hey, okay. I wasn't expecting that.
What?
I wasn't expecting Jaguar.
It's my favorite animal. That's why. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Oh, but what characteristics does it have that kind of you think you are?
It's like I think it's very sleek. It's very it's powerful. It's fast. So I like the comments are really really funny. I like that about the jaguar.
Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Time. Okay. Last one. This is gonna be hard. Most memorable moments in your life so far.
Um, my book launch. Yeah, I think having my mom speak and my dad speak like for 2 seconds. I think it was like it stuck with me. They were very proud, and I think today just making them proud and seeing them happy on that day has been memorable.
Oh, okay. So that's all of my questions. I've got,
Mm-hmm.
if you have more time, I'll ask you. Or you just do your
Okay.
poem. Yeah, you do your poem. Okay, guys, it's time for Nanama to answer your questions. So get your questions ready. Actually, put your questions on now. I did see one question here from Emmy. I think it's Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
Emmy Y.
Yeah.
She said, "How do you define success?"
Success is accomplishing what God has asked you to do. That's a success for me.
Mm. I'm putting all of those fantastic words down. Okay. All right. Questions, guys. Questions. Unless I've missed any. Um, I don't think I've missed any. Okay. Oh, oh yes. Um, question. Yeah, I've already. Inspirations for your books. You already answered, didn't you? Yeah.
Somebody had asked. I can
Um,
see.
so the imposter syndrome is as a writer is very real, as you've mentioned. What are some techniques you've found beneficial to combat this
Um,
imposter syndrome?
I think the first thing that I had to do or that I do is I look back on the stuff that I've achieved. So, for me, I finished uni. I got a master's. It's like like I have to remind myself that okay, I've been through tough things before. I have felt unqualified. I felt like an imposter before, but I was still able to do what I had to do. I also try to talk to the people around me about maybe how I'm feeling or what I'm battling with, so that then you kind of get somebody else's perspective on stuff. Because at times, like um, as people, you can be very self focused that you also can't see that actually I'm capable. So you might need somebody to kind of remind you or tell you that you're capable. And I think lastly, I'm also very gentle with myself. I realized that okay, I think I'm not qualified to do this, or I don't have the ability to do this. I feel like an imposter. How do I put it? I don't try to pretend that the feeling isn't there. I just kind of allow myself to just maybe talk to somebody, do this, do that. But I try not to berate myself or talk down on myself because I'm feeling a particular way. So I would say that one, look back on what you've been able to do, no matter how small it was.
Yeah.
Two, get people around you that can like see. the light that you are and speak that light out. And
Mm.
three, be gentle with yourself. You're human. You have issues and problems, and you are a complex being, and you are going through different seasons and different stuff is happening. So don't berate yourself for feeling a particular way. Be gentle, relax, talk to God, talk to somebody, but just keep it moving as you're doing that.
Okay, don't stop. Good.
Yeah, don't stop.
Um, okay, one more question from Jinyame. He says, "What
Mhm.
are the pros and cons of going self-publish instead of finding a publisher?" Good question.
The pros would be like independence. So you can decide anything for your book. You can choose to do it any way that you want. The publisher, they decide to a large extent how your book is going to go. So that, I mean, the main pro I would think would be the independence, and then you can also plan your scheduling properly. You can decide how you want to market it and stuff like that. But for traditional publishing, you see, with publishing, it involves money. That is always the bottom line. If you are going to get a publisher, they are going to like bear the cost of everything that has to do with a book. If you're self-publishing, you are going to have to pay for everything. So if anybody wants to go down either route, I would tell you first to ask yourself, okay, what would be best for my book? Will
Mm.
I be able to do this on my own, or do I need somebody to take on the responsibility and the cost of, doing it for me? And then you just look at like the money. Do I have the money to do it the self-publishing route, or do I think that I want somebody to bear the cost of doing that? Also, too, with the marketing, some publishing houses have a lot of have a very wide network, and so and like distribution outlets. So if they take on your book, you won't have to worry or bother about, will my book get to its target audience? So I mean, you have to just decide what route you think would be best for you and for your book.
Yeah. Okay, good. What is the age range for your children's books?
From about 8, 9 to 12.
Okay, so 8 to 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question says, "How do you decide which subject to write about?"
For the children's books, it's like whatever idea is fun to me at the time. So if like I think I have about 20 possible like book ideas for the children's books. So I just pick one and say, okay, I think I want to write about this one. Then I just pick it from there. But for the adult book, I kind of had to decide, okay, what things do I struggle with, or do I struggle with that other people I feel like would identify with, and what things do I think need to be said? Like, if maybe I was 13, 14, 15, what book would I have wanted to read at that age about like my faith? So that's how I kind of picked the topics for my books.
Okay, good. Guys, you've got 5 minutes left, so get your questions in quickly. So this question is from Gordon. He says, "What were the steps you took to self-publish, and what were the costs involved? And how do you know if your books are successful?"
Okay, the steps I took were: one, I wrote the book. That's the first thing. You just write the book. The second one was I found someone to edit it for me. I found a graphic designer. I did a little bit of research on. I think a lot of time people forget that books have a structure. So like the copyright page, what goes on that page, like what fonts sizes work for adults, or what fonts work for adults, like what kind of paper would be best to write an adult book in. So I think because I work in publishing, that wasn't too hard for me to do. But I think you have to do a lot of research, like my target audience, like how do I find them? Are they on Instagram? Are they not on Instagram? Are they on social media? Are they people that go to bookshops? You have to study and know your target audience. What were the other two questions? I've forgotten. It was the
The,
steps,
the
the
cost
cost.
involved, and then how do you know if it's successful?
Okay, the cost, that, like, is it like a figure or a range? How
You
does
can
it
give
work?
it a rate. Yeah, you
Okay,
can give it a
so
rate.
for the getting the book done, editing, design, and all the list, getting the ISBN, and then printing plus the book launch. I think the range, it can range from, in CDs, 15 to 20,000 CDs. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think, how do you know it is successful? Hmm. I think honestly it would depend on what you how you define success. So if for you it's the money, then that means it's how much you make will mean the book is successful. For me, I think when the book was done and on the market, that was my success. Because I think for me, after that, it's out. So I'm feeling very content now because I finished it. It's on the market. I'm done. So that's how I define success for me. But in like normally, it would have to do with how many copies you're selling and maybe what the impact of the book has been. And I think for me, the impact has been more important than the money. I've had people say that, I read your book and it really spoke to me. It helped me. It's giving me a new perspective, and that's what I want to hear. So I think for
Mm,
me, impact would weigh more than the money.
okay. We've got literally 1 minute left. So
Okay.
you might have to answer this question quickly. Says,
Mhm.
have you written for TV, film, stage as well, or just books?
It's just
Have
books.
you
Just
just
books.
books?
Just books for now.
Okay. The last question I'll go for, it says, how did you get started being a procrastinator?
The people around me, the accountability team kept me going. If not for them, I would have been pushing it back 1,000 times over.
Mm, okay. Right. So that's the end of it. That's the end of it. That's our question. Thank you so much, Manama.
You're welcome.
It's been great talking to you. We have our
Mhm.
intro or No Ordinary Life merchandise coming out
Oh, that's so
tomorrow.
cute.
Yes. So
Okay.
you get yours when we find someone to bring it to Ghana. So it's coming out tomorrow,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll put the link on our page so you can go and we usually sell on Etsy. So you guys can go on Etsy and check it out.